welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Noah, and in today's video I wanted to show you how you can find your perfect salary. There are so many different variables that you need to consider when trying to find your perfect salary. However, I hope this video can help to be a guide to help you get there. With that being said, let's get right into the video. So before I begin and start showing numbers in Excel like I always do, a little bit of background in regards to, the reasoning for this video. And like I said in the introduction, really finding a perfect salary or finding a happy salary is actually relatively difficult in my personal opinion. One of the reasons for this is that the prices of goods just generally tend to change over time, right? And they can even change, drastically depending on factors that are, pretty much outside of our control. The other reason why it's relatively difficult, I think, is because we don't really know what we want that we don't have. I don't know if that made sense, but how do you know what the perfect mortgage is, right? How do you know what the perfect cost for entertainment expenses is, right? These are things that you kind of need to experiment with, or you need to have something to compare them to in order to be able to find a amount that is going to work well for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up one of the dashboards that I use within my service and play a little game essentially with my clients that I sometimes do, where I will show them their previous year of expenses, kind of lumped all into one by category and so on. And then from there, I like to basically pose the question of, this is the amount of money that you spent for this category last year. What do you want to be spending in this category instead? What amount here would make you happier? And basically from here we can kind of backtrack and then figure out basically what salary this individual will need to fulfill these different wants for these different amounts in these categories. So with that out of the way, let's jump right into Excel here. So here we are in Excel as always, and if you haven't seen this dashboard before, it's something that I went over on one of my previous videos where I discussed my entire financial analysis and budgeting process. It's a relatively long video, but there's a lot of good information in regards to what I provide as a service to my clients, and this is just one of them. But this aspect of it, kind of finding a perfect salary or finding a salary to maybe shoot for, is more of a fun aspect of something that I like to do with my clients. But what we're looking at here is we're looking basically, like I said, at the previous year's expensive, all categorized in not only the large categories, essential, non-essential, but we've also have it categorized by rent, living costs, food, entertainment, discretionary, medical expenses, pet expenses, and so on. So take for a moment that you are this individual, right? These are your expenses. These were your expenses for the previous year. You spent $1,000 on rent and mortgage right here. You spent, $450 a month on groceries, $10 a month on pet, $20 a month for beauty, $170 a month for discretionary, and so on. And there's a few other things that we need to, that I feel need to be mentioned before we move further. Basically, there are obviously taxes within income, right? We can't just take one number and subtract another from it. Taxes don't exactly work that way. So the assumptions that we're making in this example here is that this individual, for their previous year, the salary that they had with this breakdown of expenses is $86,000 pre-tax. And if you'll notice, with all of these obligations combined, their essential expenses, their non-essential expenses, and the $10,000 that they saved, and then the $18,000 that they invested outside of their 401k, the total there was $55,200, which means this individual had $55,200 take home money. So we kind of need to work backwards. So like I said, in this example, we know the starting salary, which was $86,000. The deductions in order to get to the take home of $55,000 were $160 in their HSA, $80 for their health insurance, $5 for their dental insurance, and $70 per check for their vision insurance as well. So after all of those pre-tax deductions have been taken out, that's essentially what we are left with in the state of Wisconsin. So a state that has all of the fun taxes, a state income tax, and so on. So from here, we can start changing some of these numbers, right? So this is where, now that you have a little bit of background, you can kind of put yourself in this individual's shoes, and we can say, or well, I would say to my client, well, you spent $1,000 on, your rent for monthly for the previous year. What do you want to be spending, or how happy are you with this current amount? And where would you like to take it basically to get to your ideal salary? The worst thing that you can do is just throw out a number of, oh, I'd be happy with 95,000 for this individual's case, or I'd be happy with $150,000. You don't really know until you start putting some numbers in, until you have something to compare to, and obviously incorporate taxes and deductions as best as you can, as accurate as you can, and then at that point you can finally, I think, articulate what salary is going to be your essential ideal salary. So this individual, they said, I'm going to kind of role play as the client in this case, and they'll say, I was happy with $1,000, but $1,000 per month per rent. But it wasn't the best place, right? It was something that worked in this budget, but I want something a little bit more. I want a better gym. My room is a little bit, I don't know, run down, or the walls are dirty, the service is whatever. So I toured around and I was able to find pretty nice places for like 1,700, right? So adding an extra $700, and I'll say, okay, perfect. Let me put that in there. So we'll put that in there, and now the new total annually is $20,000, 20,400. And then we will essentially work our way down through the entire dashboard here. So electric, your previous year was 60. What do you think of that? And they'll maybe say something like, 60 worked for me, but there were definitely times where I had to turn off the AC because I was worried that it would get too high. And during the summer, that's obviously not fun. So ideally, maybe this is 100, right? So we'll put 100 in there. As far as the water charges go for utility, they were happy with 50 a month, right? 50 a month. I don't need to run baths all the time. I was content with 50. For groceries, maybe 450 worked, but maybe they want to get into higher tier foods, or try new foods, or that kind of stuff, or maybe just eat more. I don't know. Reasons change from person to person, but their previous year was 450. Maybe let's say, I don't know, they want an extra 200, right? So they really want to have a good time. 650 per month. Vehicle. They didn't have a vehicle, so maybe let's say they've been getting around biking, fine, but they want to get into having a vehicle. They know it's going to be essential in the long run, so they want to buy a nice vehicle right from the beginning and basically hold it forever. So they don't mind paying a little bit more for the vehicle up front. And maybe they looked around and they found a vehicle for 600 a month that they're very happy with. So we'll put that in there. And of course, they didn't have gasoline before, but now they're going to, right? Because they have a vehicle now. So you can kind of deduce that maybe it's 50 per tank, right? $50 per tank, and maybe they fill up bi-weekly, right? So 100 a month, I think, is a fair estimate there. For child, I don't really dabble too much into adding children expenses with a lot of these examples, because it tends to really, really throw things off. So maybe let's say that this individual they're young, they're not really, pardon me, voice crack, but they're not thinking of kids, right? It's not on their mind, so we're just going to skip over that as well. Medical expenses. These are difficult because we don't know when medical expenses are going to come up, right? This is kind of the crux of them. But maybe this individual wants to start a savings account just for medical expenses. It's not a bad idea. And they want to put in, I don't know, 300 a month, right? The fun thing with this is that you can really throw in any number that you want, right? Because this is kind of a fantasy. This is a role playing game, right? Where it's fun to kind of see what our salary would need to be for us to have a certain amount of stuff, or a certain amount of savings, and so on. So it's all, it can be adjusted. Obviously, it's not to be taken too seriously, but if numbers seem a little bit high, it's because we're looking for that perfect salary. So now moving on to their pet expenses. They previously had $10 a month, which isn't much if I'm being quite honest with you. So maybe their pet was healthy and they They got really cheap kibble. I mean, I don't really know, right? But they want to kick this up, right? So maybe they want to move into the frozen food for their animal. These are really popular now, where they're basically fresh food that has been ground up and frozen. So then when what your dog or cat or whatever are eating is essentially a pureed version of what you eat, right? Or maybe even better than what you eat, depending on where you get your food. And this is expensive, right? This is it's very expensive stuff. So I would say that this is probably at least 100 a month. So maybe we say, I don't know, right? It's a fantasy, right? So this individual says, I want to spend $150 a month on my animal, minimum, right? So 1,800 on the year. Student loans, they're already paying 170 a month, but maybe they want to crank them out. They want to crank them out faster. So maybe we bump this to like 250 a month or something like that. They don't have any other debt, and they don't tend on adding any, so we're going to leave that as well. Maybe their phone, they're content with their phone as well. It's paid off. They just pay the monthly bill on it. But maybe they want to move to like an unlimited plan or something, and maybe that's 50 a month. I don't know, something like that. Now we're moving on to non-essential expenses. All of the previous expenses that we covered were essential, and now we're going to move into the more fun, frivolous expenses, starting with discretionary. So currently they spend 170 a month on average on discretionary, right? So these are your toys, your cameras, right? Your computers, your microphones, your lights, that kind of stuff. That is all discretionary. And this individual felt maybe that they were held back a little bit. I want more. I want some more stuff, right? I want to upgrade my bike, or I want to upgrade my computer, or I want to get some new shoes or new equipment. I don't know, right? So maybe they say that they want 300 a month in fun expenses. So 300 is what they want per month. Entertainment, right? So this is your clubs, your night outs, your trips, right? There's a lot of things that are encompassed in entertainment, and they generally tend to be really expensive, which is okay, as long as it's budgeted correctly. But they were spending 170 per month for the previous year, and this isn't enough, right? So maybe they want to travel more, right? They want to continue their going out activities in their local area, but they want to explore other areas as well. So maybe they want, oh God, I don't know. Maybe they want, I don't know, 400. They want 400 a month. 400 a month, they can see themselves having a really good time. Or you know what? We're having fun here, right? So I don't know, let's make it 550. 550 a month for all of their traveling, their trips, which is 6,600 a year. I know for a fact you can have great trips with about $1,000. So I think this is a pretty good point. Their beauty, they were spending 20 a month. And this is something I like to mention in all my videos. This changes with males to females, and it's really drastic. So let's generalize here, and maybe instead of 20, maybe it's, I don't know, 80. Maybe. I mean, here's the thing is that I'm not a girl, right? So I don't do the whole hair, like nail, like I don't do it. I don't know what it is. Um, this is a crazy amount of money for beauty expenses for me, but we're just gonna keep it here for this example. For their fitness expenses, they didn't have any, right? So they were just jogging and walking and using their gym at their apartment, and that was fine. But they want something more, right? Maybe they want a pool. They want a gym with a pool. They want a gym with a sauna. So they can do some workout stuff at their apartment, and then they can do more specialized stuff at a gym. And maybe the gym is, I don't know, maybe I know a lot of gyms, premium gyms are like 150 a month, so maybe we use that 150 a month for their gym. Now that leads us to miscellaneous, right? So miscellaneous is all just as how it sounds. It's the weird things that come up, things that you need for your apartment, things you need for your car or your house. I don't, all of these different things. So let's say this individual wasn't quite happy with 80. Maybe they want to double it just about. So they want 150 on miscellaneous, cleaning supplies, and that kind of stuff as well. And dining. Dining is a very expensive endeavor, in my personal opinion. Not always worth it either, depending on where you're going. But they were very frugal, right? They were only spending 40 a month $480 on the year in dining out. So they were obviously these are hypothetical numbers, but this is low, right? So they want to start actually enjoying some nice dinners, some treats for themselves, and they want to just have a good time, as they should, right? We're brainstorming what the perfect salary is going to be. So what we're going to do is maybe instead of 40 per month, which is very, very low, um, let's maybe make it, oh, this is tough. Uh, Maybe 550, right? Something like that, right? A little over 100 a week, I think is, you can have a lot of fun with that. 6,600 on the year. Now we are moving into saving and investing, and already you can see that this individual is doing pretty well. They were saving 10,000 a year and then 18,000 investing outside of their 401k. Um, which is really good. Previously, they were contributing 200 per check to their 401k, maybe just to get their match or something like that. But they like to do a lot of investing on their own in a Roth or whatever it may be. So they want to up this too, right? If you were chasing an ideal salary, maybe this is higher. So instead of 850 a month in savings, I don't know, maybe they want to save 1,500. And maybe investing, they were doing 1,500, maybe they want to do 2,000, right? Something like that. So now that we have adjusted all of these numbers, right, to incorporate a more enjoyable lifestyle, for example, we can kind of start to take a look at what our total expenses for the year might be with this new imaginary income. So now, if you look right down here, this new total is essentially going to be their new total take home amount. It's the amount of money that is being spent after all of the taxes and so on. So 47,400 is wrapped up in essential expenses, 21,000 is wrapped up in non-essentials, and then 42,000 is wrapped up in saving and investing. So these are big numbers, right? These are great numbers. Having a lifestyle like this, I think the majority of people on this earth would be elated to have this kind of breakdown of their expenses. You can do so much here. It's actually quite unbelievable what kind of life you can live with this if you're being smart. But now their new total expenses are not 61,200. They're $110,000, almost $111,000. So in essence, this individual went from about $61,000 in take-home money, which is a slight adjustment from what it initially was. I had to change one of the numbers to account for some expenses, but they went from 61,000 all the way to $110,000 in take-home money, almost doubling their take-home money, which is a huge ordeal. But now we know a crucial piece of information, which is the amount of money that they will need to take home in order to sustain this new lifestyle. So now what we're going so now what we're going to do is jump over to this page right here, which I will leave a link to in the description because I believe it's a really powerful and extremely useful page provided by ADP. But this basically allows us to, with reasonable confidence, estimate what our taxes are going to be based off of our salaries and our deductions. So as we know, this individual had a salary of $86,000 in order to have the lifestyle that they wanted before, right? Where they were spending, $1,000 on rent, and their total expenses were about $60,000. And now we know, after adjusting, that their new ideal expenses are going to be about $110,000. So what we can do is we can take the ending amount, the amount of money that we will need to take home, and like I said, kind of work backwards to find out what our salary will need to be. So if you look right here, this take home money, this is what's really important right here. This 2,127, this times 26 pay periods, which is what this individual has. It's a really common thing biweekly for a lot of companies, equates to the 55,000 dollars that they would have needed to support their previous lifestyle. And now what we need to do basically is go back and try to get this take-home number to equate to an amount that will equal $110,000 with 26 pay periods. So we're starting at 86. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we jump up to, I don't know, if we need $110,000 to take home, I don't know, what is it? Maybe we start with $140,000, right? So what is that? Our new take home is 3,469. 3,469 times 26 is $90,000 take home. So we're $20,000 off. Is it I don't know, $160,000 as a salary? That's 995 or 3,954, right? 3,954 times 26 pay periods is $102,000. So we're not there yet. So what is the answer? The answer is roughly $170,000, right? 4196 times 26 is $109,000. So I'm not going to get really precise with it. I think that's not the point in this, but we can see now that our question is essentially answered. In order to support this lifestyle, right? 17 on our rent, 47,000 for our essentials, 21 for our non-essentials, and 42 saving and investing. We need $170,000 roughly for our annual salary. So we can look at this and be shocked, right? This is a stupid amount of money. This is so much money, especially for someone who's not, an MD or something like that. I think if you're an MD, this is easy, right? This is easy, but the majority of people aren't, right? We're analysts, or we work at retail or in the service industry, or rental, like real estate agent, that kind of stuff. $170,000 as your salary is extremely good, right? And as we know from looking at the breakdown of what this individual wants, ideally, we can see that this is going to be quite a high number. But the significance in this is that we, like I said, can articulate the salary that we essentially need to chase to pursue a specific type of lifestyle. Now, of course, I don't want all of you looking at it and saying, I'm never going to get $170,000 as my salary. It's just not going to happen. So will I not be happy? And the answer is false, right? And the example that we used, the lifestyle is pretty exorbitant, right? They're having a lot of fun. They're having maybe even too much fun, right? But like I said, these examples are really just to get people thinking of what their dream salary or what their ideal salary might be. A lot of individuals, it really does sit around that like 110 to 120, and with that they'd be more than happy, right? So this was kind of an exaggeration, so to speak, for this kind of circumstance. A lot of people's ideal salary will be quite a bit lower, but I hope you can kind of see now how I like to utilize this type of thought process with my clients to kind of articulate what a nice salary for their own personal needs might be. So with all of that being said, I'm not going to take up any more of your time here. I hope you were able to take away some information from this video and hopefully get on the track to find out what your perfect salary might be as well. But of course, I want to hear from you as well. What do you think is your perfect salary that's going to fit all of your needs in life? Please let me know in the comment section below. And of course, if you have any questions for me personally, or if you'd like to take a look at the financial services that I can provide to you, I've left my email and a link to my company website in the description box below. As always, thank you so much for your time today. And of course, happy financing.